Ah, yes. Here we are once again. If you're watching this live, that means, of course, that it is Wednesday at noon Eastern Time, which is time for the High Noon Hemp Show. Of course, you can find us in many places. You can find us on YouTube at the Temptations Beach Facebook page. We're also on the Temptations Beach Facebook page. We're on YouTube at the Jedi Hemp YouTube channel and on Twitter /X, whatever it is you call it. We are at Temptations on there. I'm Stoner Jesus. If you want to find out more about me, you can Google search me or Bing or whatever it is that you use. He is Beach. He is, as of yet, in a secret, undisclosed location, which he will tell you about momentarily. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out. We do have some changes going on, some other stuff going on in the show. Hopefully, there will be no technical issues like there were last week. So far, seems pretty good, but knock on wood. So, Beach, how are things this week in the ever-changing world of Temptations?
They are pretty good. I got to remember to, almost forgot again, and okay, here we go, to mute my phones. Don't disturb.
Right.
Things are good. We got a new Planet Everywhere Studios. As you can see, it's a little different. Might be. So far, it's been different every week since we moved here. And so next week, I'll probably make it different again, and we'll just keep doing that. Make that a theme. How's that?
There you go.
But and just a reminder, the FDA has not evaluated this show for safety or efficacy. That being said, of course, I'm going to flake on having my. I don't have my studio quite set up as much as I want to. There it is. The I pledge. And as it goes, as you can see, I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for right on, right on. All right. Thanks everybody for being here for the High Noon Hemp Show. We're here every Wednesday. We took a little break for the month of May, but we're back and we're here every Wednesday at high noon, bringing you all the good stuff that hemp has to offer. All the good stuff hemp has to offer. That being said, let's get to the product spotlight, what I call 4 from the store, 1 from my door. This first one here, it's summertime. It's a good time for the need for some deodorant. That's for sure, I suppose, more than not. I tend to use an all-natural, if anything, deodorant, hemp-based usually. These are actually CBD, and so they're going to be good for the skin and all that stuff as well. And so get yourself some Washita Farms CBD deodorant if you need it at the Northside location. I bought some Mary Hempster's organic dog salve. Been seeing a lot about hemp oil, again, being good for skin, which it obviously it is for humans. And I think it's also good for pet skin. So if your dog or cat or something has a rash or skin issue or something there, then you can rub a little bit of this on there, and hopefully that'll help them out a little bit. And it's organic as well. So, of course, hemp is organic by nature, but this makes all the ingredients in the salve organic. So it's good stuff. Or Mary Hempster's is still, they've discontinued their lip balm line, but I'm pretty sure they're still continuing with their body balms and CBD stuff either way. About some earthly body products. There's all kinds of stuff here. Lotion. We've got like a mist, which is great for the summer, just to kind of mist yourself with some hemp oil, shampoos, conditioners, all kinds of stuff, different scents. Again, we're down in Northside now, so if you're interested in any of those body products, hemp is a great body product. It is great for the body. and it's good one way or another. And so I've definitely been using some lotion and some of that mist a little bit more since the weather has changed. I've been out in the sun a little bit, and I usually try to protect myself from the sun. I also use hemp sunblock. I should have used that for the one from my door this week, but maybe next week that'll be the one from my door here on the product spotlight. And the last product is all the Greenfield paper products. We got all kinds of good stuff: notebooks, resume kits, art paper, whatever you're looking for there to use hemp paper for. We probably have it. Once again, down at the North Side location, um, one way or another. And you can find all the Greenfield products. I'm almost positively sure that you can find all of the Greenfield products online at their website as well. So if you want to just go directly to there, you can do that. You can do that very easily. And so I recommend that you do. All right, there's 4 from the store. Now the one from my door, which is also getting a lot of use these days as I've been out and enjoying the weather, is my koozie. This is just one of my collection of hemp koozies. This is the hemp hugger version. It's funny because we kept calling ourselves, when I toured the hemp fields back in 2014, 2015, whatever the first year. After the first year, we went out on a tour in the fall of the fields. The girls down at one of the farms, they kept hugging these big the where they put it up. I can't believe I'm gonna flake on the name of the ret. These they pile it up to Reddit, and it kind of looks like a pyramid of hemp stalks. And they kept hugging them and calling themselves hemp huggers, and I thought that was funny. And then shortly after that, I think I found this particular. We might have even made this particular koozie at Planet Everywhere when we were doing a lot of that stuff back in the day. So either way, there you have it. 4 from the store, 1 from my door on the product spotlight here on the High Noon Hemp Show.
Indeed. Which brings us to not quite the return. We didn't have the picture right last week. We were able to get it, but now we have everything ready for the greatest segment in internet history to make its official triumphant return. It is the Beachwear segment. And all I have to do is ask Beach one simple question, and he will tell you all about the hemp stuff that he is wearing from head to toe. So that's what I'm going to do right now, because it's the time in the show when we do that. When I ask, what are you wearing, Beach?
That's true. If you're curious, hey, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you'll know on this What Are You Wearing, Beach segment. So on the top there's a good old 420 hat. I don't know who made that hat, but I think I found that one possibly on Amazon. I'm not sure where I found this hat. Doesn't have a label inside. My t-shirt is, I believe, an Ono t-shirt printed with the Super Hemp logo, which is something that I've been using for quite a while now, actually, is that good old Super Hemp logo. My shorts are a classic pair of Ecolution shorts. These are like, I have a couple pairs of these, and these for a while they were definitely my favorite shorts. And I'm probably going to enjoy them this summer as well. A good old cargo. These might have been my first actual hemp. No, not my first cargo shorts. That's not true. I couldn't say that, but good stuff. I got my Hempies belt, holding them up, as it will, and then there in the pocket, as you can see, being circled right now, is my Green Springs technology pen, which again travels everywhere with me, everywhere I go. My boxer briefs are Hemptopia. My socks, I believe, if I remember correctly, are Oasis no-shows. And then the shoes down there, good old pair of Adidas Sambas. And so there you have it. If you are curious, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you'll know. Now you do know. Because you didn't before.
That's right.
All right. Okay, well, let's we'll be right back with all the good news. Get a lot of good stuff going on in the world of hemp this week, right after this classic commercial.
How far does this Hemptations thing go? Our customers have been scoring hemp all the way from O'Brienville to Sharonville, north side to Dayton. What do you mean? We don't do mean. We don't do mean. I want the facts. Go to Hemptations.com or any one of the locations. Having Hemptations?
I must say, I think the best acting job from Beach of all the commercials is that one right there.
I really like that one. I think one of my favorite lines ever that I ever wrote was that we don't do mean, or I don't do mean. What do you mean we don't do mean? I think that was really one of the best things that I ever wrote. I had a lot of fun writing that one, as well as there's some other ones that the Beach triplets. As one of my customers actually thought I was triplets, and that's how we filmed these commercials. The Beach triplets are in, and so I'll get those out there. We got the educational one, and then the news one, and the news one is it was done so well that I had one of my TV advertisers wouldn't use it on the air because they thought that people would think that it was actually really a news segment. So anyway, there you have it. All right, let's get to the news. A lot of good stuff. A little bit of bad, but a lot of good this week in the news. An article that was titled "From Cotton to Linen: 5 Must-Have Breathable Fabrics for a Cool Summer Wardrobe." Number 5 was hemp, and this is their words: "For all-time comfort and seasonal style, hemp boasts antimicrobial and durability, high breathability, high absorbency and wicking, stronger and better insulating than cotton, and resistant to UV rays." So, again, why are we not all wearing hemp clothing? Again, it's quite amazing when you compare it to all the other stuff. It's quite amazing how little hemp clothing there is out there. And again, we should all be wearing hemp clothing all the time, which is what I do, as you know, and just saw in the "What Are You Wearing" Beach segment. It's every day pretty much head to toe for me, one way or another. So the research, this is super cool, and again, could be a game changer for some products. Researchers at Purdue University have developed a super absorbent material made of hemp. It's 40 to 80% biodegradable, depending on they've come up with different absorbencies and whatnot. And is comparable to what they call commercial polyacrylate or acrylate. Okay, now this is a synthetic product, and that was one reason why they really wanted to come up with this. That was a synthetic product that was being used in things that they were like putting on the ground to absorb water or whatnot. And then again, what they're finding is that's causing synthetic leaching into the soil. When it comes to things like diapers and things like that, a lot of that stuff is, even though it's it goes to the landfill, and it is not good. It's not good for the landfill. They say that this particular formulation, which they have applied for a patent on, can be modified for slow or fast absorption. So once again, there are kind of different levels of this hemp absorption, depending on where it needs to be used and how it needs to be used. And again, they credit hemp's unique cellulose content that is super attracted to water. So apparently, super attracted to water. Which is, I think, another reason why we end up with hemp actually becoming when it gets wet. From my understanding, that's why it made for great sails and riggings on the ships. Is that it retains its strength or actually becomes stronger when it's wet. So, that's pretty neat. And again, they're looking at using this from everything from diapers to food packaging. They talked about how the food packaging for, say, meats is kind of important because you do want it to actually absorb a little bit of the moisture to help keep it fresh longer, but you don't want to absorb too much of the moisture. There's like a balancing line there they were describing in the article. And so, it's going to be interesting to see how much, again, we can advance a more natural product than having to use plastic or styrofoam. Oh man, styrofoam again! Don't even get me started. You know how much I hate styrofoam. If we could just find packaging that could remove foam in the world, oh my gosh, I'd be so happy. And of course, plastic too. And we already know hemp can do plastic. But I think if we could come up with something that was, consistent with styrofoam, as far as an insulator and whatever, that would be great. And it's interesting because the head researcher, and I quote, said, "This should have been taken care of a long time ago, but it's better late than never." And it's true. If hemp would have never been made illegal in 1937, we'd have hemp diapers on a regular basis. We'd have hemp food packaging. We would have hemp paper would still be something that we would probably use, even though wood replaced hemp for paper, in the early 1900s. And that's just because we figured out how to make paper from wood, and we felt like we had an endless amount of trees that we could cut down to do so. Kind of the theory back then, and possibly helped make hemp illegal, so that we couldn't actually grow hemp for making paper to protect the pulp industry, the wood pulp industry, back in the early 1900s. So, there's a lot of controversial ideology around the making of hemp illegal. From the alcohol industry to the cotton industry to the wood pulp industry, to the gasoline or diesel industry. I mean, there's so many things that we can make out of hemp. So it's easy to say that all of these industries had something to lose if hemp continued to stay legal, other than the fact that I just don't understand why they wouldn't buy into using hemp, which is what we need to do now. All these industries that exist now, the paper industries need to figure out how to make hemp paper, or all paper should be 100% recycled at this point. I feel like there's enough paper in the world that we should be able to continue to recycle it and make new paper and not have to actually use wood pulp anymore. But if not, we need to be using hemp in the paper. So, this is an interesting, once again, game changer, because they can guarantee absorbency rates for this particular hemp product. Therefore, once again, why wouldn't a huge diaper company want to invest in that? Why wouldn't a huge whatever company it is that's responsible for laying down this absorbency stuff wherever they lay it down on the ground that then gets leached in the ground want to use this, especially with its biodegradability? So, if it's only used as a temporary thing anyway, you just lay it down, let it absorb the moisture or whatever you want it to do. And then, 4 to 6 months later, most of it is just going to be gone. And it's going to be gone in a good way, because it's not going to have a negative effect on the soil. It's not going to have a negative effect on the water systems. And so, it's 100% better than what they're using now, 100% better. And so it's good. This is really. I look forward to seeing this in a lot of products in the future. Um, and once again, it's going to replace a lot of products. We're not going to really pay attention. We're not even going to know. It's not like they're going to put on the label, this hamburger is stored in a hemp packaging. You just won't know. You won't even know that. You might be on the back, packaging supplied by or whatever. But which is something that honestly, they tell us all the ingredients in a product, ingredients in the box or the bag or whatever that it's being stored in, which I think is not good. It's not good. So not only are they trying to mess things up in the Farm Bill when it comes to Delta 8 or THCA or Delta 9 or any of these, what they're calling intoxicating hemp, they're trying to figure out how to make the wordage for this, I think, and hopefully it'll just get put aside and won't happen. But now there's actually a spending bill. Okay, so whatever the newest spending bill, I think they're omnibus bills. I don't know whatever the federal government calls them. Okay, there's a new spending bill that contains language. Okay, now once again, this is a spending bill. This is a bill that's supposed to be about how the government spends their money. Somehow they've attached language to it that would make Delta 8 and CBD with high THC content not legal. And again, putting laws into spending bills seems like that shouldn't be legal. Okay, if you want to make a standalone bill that does this, that's one thing. But to attach it to a spending bill is like that again. That's just government shadiness. And again, there's no scientific proof that they need to do any of this. There's no medical proof that they need to be doing all this. This is all fear mongering. Every headline that I see that's about doing something about, say, Delta 8, it's always to protect the children. I'm like, again, make it so you have to be a certain age to buy it and be done with it. If you can buy cigarettes at a certain age, then we are doing nothing to protect the children and make them healthy. And so saying that we need to make Delta 8 illegal, which is extracted from industrial hemp to make the kids, it's not. What it does, and this was another article I saw, which I've mentioned this before, what it does is it creates then a black market for these products. And that is super unhealthy for everybody, okay? Because then the kids have to go to the black market to buy it. Adults have to go to the black market to buy it just to get a product that they know helps them in a way that is not unsafe. There's still no proof. I mean, there's still no proof that THC Delta 9 is unhealthy for humans. And so there's no medical proof that Delta 8 is unhealthy or unsafe for that matter. Okay. And let's get some medical proof. Let's get some science behind the fear mongering and the moral issue, because it's really a moral issue. It's still a moral issue. It has nothing to do with keeping kids truly safe. It's just people saying that morally they believe kids shouldn't have these products, so they should be made illegal. And that's not fair to adults that should be allowed to have these products one way or another. And so you're creating a black market for something that people can buy over the counter now, which is much safer, even if it is unregulated. You can argue, well, it's unregulated, but it's still safer because you can hold someone responsible for the products. If I buy something at a gas station and it makes me sick, okay, I can still hold the people that made that responsible, because we'll be able to find them, we'll be able to track them. Okay, if I buy something in an alley or whatever, whether it's your long, supplier or whatever, You don't know how if it was made in a clean facility, or it makes it even less likely that things were done the way things should be done than if it's a legitimate product that you go to a store and buy. I don't care what you say about how unregulated it is, because once again, you can still hold someone accountable if things aren't what they're supposed to be, or they do make people sick. And I'm all for that. I mean, someone's got something on the market and it really is unhealthy. Yes, something needs to be done about it, one way or another. So, all of a sudden, the federal government, everybody wants to be involved in this intoxicating. It wasn't even a subject until a year ago, and now it's on everybody to do something about it, and it's very misleading, very, very, very misleading, one way or another. What makes something intoxicating? Who decides? Who is deciding what's intoxicating? If one person says, I feel like this is intoxicating, is it now everybody? Is that good for everybody? Again, it's really silly, and it's going backwards with industrial hemp, and it's something that doesn't need to be done. And again, I think it's a state issue, just like we've seen in most states. Put age restrictions on these things at the very least, and that's all they really need to do. Just put age restrictions on it. Be over the counter, but you got to be 21 to get it, which is what the most logical step for any state that's trying to keep the kids safe from these products. Okay, trying to keep the kids safe from these products and put age restrictions on them. But other than that, should just be left alone. Just be left alone. So I found this website that has all these like cool maps and stuff. This is an old rope ad. I don't know if the first one I sent over came over clear, but I sent another email that I think has a clear version.
There we go.
But these are from like the 1800s. And again, clearly down there, big rope. One of the largest printed things that they have on this entire ad is the fact that they have import and export hemp. And so, you still wanted some Russian hemp, they possibly could supply you with that, or Chinese hemp fiber. And then again, really touting domestically how important hemp was to the rope industry, period, in those days. And I would say that there's a good chance that the 90 to 100% of all the rope made in the 1800s was hemp. I would fathom to say there might be one other type of. They might have been making rope out of jute or manila, possibly. But again, I think that for the most part, almost all rope, depending on no matter its thickness, was made from hemp, one way or another. So it's pretty neat old ad, one way or another, showing how prevalent hemp was in the world before 1937. I cannot believe that I'm going to speak these words out loud, but it's a great day in Florida for hemp because Governor DeSantis actually vetoed this last bill that was it was going to make it very difficult to actually operate in the CBD and whatever else. Recently, Florida is not. This bill was not hemp friendly. Governor DeSantis actually did the right thing by vetoing it because it literally was putting the entire hemp industry in jeopardy in Florida. And I'm glad that enough people got in his ear, or he realized that if he did sign this bill, that would basically shut down an entire industry that's making millions and millions and millions of dollars in the state of Florida. And once again, not proving in any way that what they were doing was going to keep anybody safer, or any of those things. So, good job! I can't believe I'm going to say this. Good job, Governor DeSantis. Good job. Speaking of interesting political things. James Comer, who played a huge part back in the day at getting Kentucky legal to grow hemp and really promoting and working with Mitch McConnell federally and whatnot to get it all passed. So apparently, um, and again, I think this is interesting. He back in 10 years ago when it was first made legal, he ordered a bunch of what he believed was hemp from China. Okay, that ended up being marijuana. Now they don't really talk about 0.4% THC technically makes it marijuana. Now, once again, all they do is they destroy the crop. If you test hot and you're growing industrial hemp, you test hot. So you test above that 0.3%. Then, basically it's a destruction of crop. There's no criminal charges involved. You just basically lose your crop. And you have, I think what this really shows is that China wasn't, in fact, paying any attention to THC content because A, they would not allow marijuana to be grown. Okay, that's not going to happen in China. And so they didn't care about it. So you're growing for industrial hemp, you're growing for fiber, most more than likely. If you're a Chinese hemp farmer, you're growing for fiber. They weren't really paying any attention to the THC content. And I've said this over and over again of the flower because that's just waste product. They probably let it go to seed anyway, and then they use those seeds for the next year's fiber crop. And they weren't really paying attention to whether it was staying under 0.3%. They just knew that this was what they were growing for their fiber, and they had always grown it for their fiber, and they didn't pay any attention. No one was smoking the flowers at the end of the year. No one was even thinking about it, I'm sure. So all of a sudden, one of the best sources probably for us somehow to bring in industrial hemp into the United States was Chinese hemp seeds. And so I feel like once again, they made a big deal about it, calling it marijuana. But once again, they didn't tell us the THC content. This wasn't 5% or 10%. I guarantee it. There's no way. China would not have allowed that. I'm almost sure of it. If the rumor ever got out that, the hemp that was being grown for the fiber industry in China, that you could smoke those flowers and get high, they'd probably squash that pretty quickly, I do believe. So that's kind of interesting. But the whole part of this is Comer's been yelling at President Biden because supposedly he had these, or President Biden's son, because they had these emails that they weren't supposed to be using, like this weird sub emails. Well, apparently James Comer back in the day when he was making these Chinese hemp deals, he was actually doing them through fictitious emails, like not his, like he used his son's name that when he was like 7 years old at the time. It's like he can't claim that his kid was trying to buy Chinese hemp because he was like a little kid, but he used his name in one of the emails. Again, it was kind of very, very hypocritical behavior that he could be bitching, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, some people are finding out that might not be true. So anyway, it's kind of interesting how none of us knew anything about that back in the day. Like I don't ever remember hearing anything about James Comer getting in any trouble, because he didn't get in trouble. Their crop was destroyed, and they tried to make no mention of it. But I do believe that because they're finding these email addresses that he was using and shouldn't have been using, they're finding the evidence of the buying the wrong Chinese hemp seeds, I suppose, back in the day, because of the THC content was in fact too high. Once again, supports my theory that we don't, depending on what they're making with the end result. If you're making any type of material out of it, and that's what the Chinese grow majority of their hemp for, then and they were doing what they were calling whole hemp CBD extraction, which is they would actually take the entire plant and press it, and then that oil they were calling that CBD oil, which means that the fiber plant that they were growing over there probably had a high concentrate of CBD in the flower to get a CBD product out of. That was the first CBD products I was selling, was Chinese imported CBD. It was super expensive. The customers did work for the customers and give them what they wanted, but it was still super expensive either way, one way or another. So it's kind of interesting. Good old modern history of hemp and the making of hemp in the United States. So a placebo-controlled study showed just a little bit of CBN and we kind of knew this already, can significantly reduce nighttime awakenings and overall sleep disturbances. And once again, we are seeing that CBD and CBN together. CBD works really well for people in the same way, but you add the CBN to it, and it gives you, I think, a little bit of a bonus kick when it comes to sleep issues, because we've been seeing that for years. Our customers, love the CBN products that we carry because they know that it's a bonus on top of the CBD for sleep issues, one way or another. And here's a study that pretty much proves that. And it was a little amount. It didn't say how much, but it just said a little bit. And so I don't think that it takes too much especially on top of CBD. If you're using CBD and CBN together, I think that you really can minimize how much you have to use to get the relief that you're looking for. I mean, I know our customers do. I'm not giving medical advice. Article in health.com. 7 superfoods to add to your morning smoothie. An excellent source of omega-3 hemp, as obviously it was on the list. Excellent source of omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids, which fights inflammation. Also a complete protein containing all 9 essential amino acids that the body cannot produce on its own. We get that from hemp. And again, you know this if you watch the show. You'll hear this again if you're a first-time watcher and you come on later and keep watching. Hemp is the greatest vegetative matter for protein out there. Again, spirulina has more, but hemp is greater in my opinion because we can grow endless amounts of hemp for hemp protein, where spirulina is basically, I think, extracted from algae, and is a lot harder to produce in large quantities than hemp protein would to begin with. So, we're seeing more and more of this. Again, hemp's been a superfood. They've been calling hemp a superfood probably now for almost 10 years. At first I never bought into the superfood kind of ideology, but I get it. There are some foods, and if we call them superfoods, you should know that you should just add those into your diet. Some would argue, though, that beef meat is a superfood because nutritionally it gives the human body a lot. There's arguments for probably a lot of foods, whether they're really superfoods or not. Hemp is just a great food for the human diet and should be used as much as possible in the human diet. It's just what it is. So Iowa did pass age restrictions, and they also passed content restrictions. And again, these content restrictions, as I talked about last week, so you can only have 4 milligrams of THC per piece. Legal industrial hemp THC, and then you can only have 10 milligrams per package. So, once again, all they're doing is making it so you have to have, you're going to have 10 milligram packages, and you're going to have 5 pieces of, say, 2 milligrams per piece in the package. Keeps it under that 4 milligrams, makes it easy. But then you're just forcing the customer to buy 5 of those or 10 of those to get their 50 or 100 milligrams of THC. Not that they're going to take all that at the same time. I'm not saying that, but you don't have to go to the store every day to get your legal industrial hemp THC. You just have to buy more packages of it, which again is not doing anything but really causing more waste. It's not going to keep people from buying as much legal and THC products out there. It's just going to make them buy more packages of it because of these stupid, silly restrictions. Again, that would make if they did that in Ohio, we would then have to change our formulation for our gummies, tincture, whatever, and then repackage everything. Where we'd have to repackage everything, and so it really is. It's really an absurd way. It's just an absurd way to manage the issue because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change how much you can buy. It just changes how much you have to buy as far as packaging goes. I particularly would probably rather only have 10 milligrams of gummy or 10 milligrams of THC in my gummies so I can eat more gummies, because eating one gummy to me is like very difficult to do. And of course I try to avoid sweets anyway, so I never have any other gummies. I always tell people, have a bag of regular gummies around, because you eat one and you want some more. It's like the old chips commercial. You can't just eat one. And so, you eat one infused gummy, and then you have a little handful of some other gummies just to get your whole gummy fill. Anyway, I think a lot of people there's a lot of over-the-counter products now that it's gummy related, no matter what it is. Get your fiber in a gummy, get your vitamins in a gummy. And so, there's a whole market out there for this. And can you imagine, if they did this for like a multivitamin or something? Again, it's really silly. And again, it's like you make it 21 and older, which is what they did. And then you actually say, well, we're making it 21 and older because we think you're an adult and you're responsible enough to figure out what you want to do with your life and the products you want to purchase. But you know what? We're not really saying that, because we're then going to limit per piece and per package how much of this you can get. So although we're saying, yes, you're an adult and you can purchase this as an adult, we still don't think your decisions are correct. And so we're going to have to, change how much you can actually buy per package. It's really absurd, and yet a slap in the face to adults for not being able to decide how much and when of a product they need. It's really silly. So, but that's what we're seeing, more or less, in places that try to do that. And we'll see how it holds up. But I believe it did pass, and so there's going to be a lot of every if they're bringing in from other states, they're not packaged like this. And so those companies are either going to have to change how they package their companies, or they won't be able to be sold there. And then really what that's going to end up doing is having companies in Iowa, if they're doing this in Iowa, growing the industrial hemp in Iowa, extracting the industrial hemp in Iowa, packaging the industrial hemp in Iowa, it's going to kind of give them an advantage one way or another. So it's going to be interesting how all that works out. So THCV, CBDV, CBD, they're called variants. I've never heard this term before, but I'm going to have to go see what that really means. But in this article, what they were really saying is these variants, and I have touched on this before, can stimulate hair growth. Okay, and so the article implied that these products can add up to 80% or bring back up to 80% of hair loss. So really what I recommend is just get a bottle of CBD oil from Hemptations. We use hemp oil as our base, and then the CBD, and rub that into your scalp once a day, maybe just a little bit, and see if that does not actually, the hemp oil is great for health, skin health, hair health, all of that, one way or another. Um, if CBD really does regrow or make healthy hair, um, then this should work. I saw that menthol, because apparently a hothead does not grow hair. Cool head. So keep a cool head, calm, but literally cool. They say so. I saw that they actually added a little menthol to actually help make the cooling of the skin, which also helps with hair growth. So, the CBD and the hemp oil, to me, seems like a great natural way to see if you can get some hair growth back one way or another. Article, which are the most eco-friendly fabrics? Guess who came in number one? Yep, that's right, hemp. Again, I've already talked about, the fabrics and the material. But again, strongest natural fiber on the planet. Doesn't require any herbicides or pesticides. And so, of course, it's the best eco-friendly material fiber out there to grow. I mean, again, it seems so ridiculous that we know this, and once again, we grow so little in the United States anyway. Grow so little at this point, fiber for material. When once again, all fiber for the most part, all material, from this tapestry behind me to my shirt to everything should be made out of hemp. Should my tapestry behind me is not made out of hemp. The panels that I put up behind that are made out of hemp. Next week, I'm gonna have to figure out how to put all my hemp panels up, so I got hemp behind me. Again, I'm still working on the studio, folks. Still working on it. The new studio, I should say. Here's another kind of neat map that I found, and really, it's this one is like, it's a map of different countries that shows like what those countries are known for. And again, this was early 1800s. We should have this somewhere.
There we go.
Coming up. There it is.
There we go.
And so the whole map had like 4 different countries, and it showed what those countries predominantly did. This is the Russian Asian map, and then again that top corner picture on the left, up in the corner pictures, is showing them growing hemp. And again, hemp was and still is, I believe, grown quite prominently in Russia, as well as obviously, I guess, flax. And again, flax is normally the fiber that they use when they call something linen. But obviously, it shows how important fiber was to the Russians in the 1800s. Same as here in the United States. Old hemp field that they're working with there. So that's kind of interesting history of the world as we know it. Okay, so not only is THCV and CBD good for hair growth in a topical way, another study showed that they both can help people in the early phases of metabolic. I can't say that word. Syndrome, lose weight, and improve metabolic. There it is.
There you go.
Metabolic is the word, the way I was looking to pronounce it. Markers, and so they're showing that THCV and CBD can help with weight loss. We know that hemp oil in itself, hemp seed, can help with weight loss because it's a very satiating food. And what that means is it takes very little to make you feel like you're full, and it makes you feel like you're full longer. And again, a lot of that is the protein content. Now they're saying that CBD and THCV are also good for this. And so look into that for weight loss. If you need some help with weight loss, maybe CBD can even help with that, which would be, once again, just another great thing that CBD can do on top of all the other things that we know CBD can do, one way or another. Well, here's some good news when it came to the government trying to do something bad. In Illinois, they had a bill that was going to regulate D8 and other hemp products, and it is stalled and is probably going to go away past any further than, I think, discussion. Maybe I don't even think they voted on it, because they're talking about how they won't be back in session for a while, and they think they're probably going to either have to rewrite it or just give up on it altogether. And so, and again, I'm guessing that this was one of those bills where, when they wrote it, they were trying to help people, but then the wordage of it was probably going to shut down the hemp industry in Illinois. And they realized, once again, that's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea. So I'm guessing that if we see anything from Illinois in the fall, it'll probably be an age restriction or content restriction bill, not a banning or full CBD included type of thing. So we'll see where that goes. But luckily they realized that it was a terrible idea, and they dumped it for the most part. So here's some hemp construction. This was a rehab of a kitchen in again back in London, but I love it because the title of the article was basically, "These gorgeous walls and this London kitchen renovation, that's hempcrete." And so you can kind of see how they layered it. So it's wood framed, and then you fill it in with the hemp. But it's really kind of neat how it almost looks like they filled in some, let it maybe harden a little bit, and then did it the same thing. So it's almost layered all the way up the wall. Like you can kind of see the different colors and whatnot, which is really neat. And again, I know I've shown one where they had actually used multicolors, dyed hempcrete to make a cool pattern. This just kind of makes a neat looking, cool, natural. It looks more natural pattern to the wall. And if they ever chose to, they could put something right over the top of it, and you would never see it. But I think their intent was to do something neat like this, so that they would never want to cover it up. So they would see how neat it is. So more cool use of hempcrete in the world every day. Here is a recipe for cold brew chai pudding. We'll leave this up here for a minute, so you can do a screenshot of it, and take that recipe home with you if you want to make yourself some cold brew. And again, this is I believe you got your cold brew in it, so it's coffee. Brilliant, one way or another. And then you got your hemp in there, nutritional value, your chai seeds in there for nutritional value, banana, I think, and then some other things that make it super healthy. But to me, a great way to, a smoothie that has both coffee and hemp seeds in it is probably the greatest way you can start your day, in my opinion. Just my opinion. But I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I've got my smoothie maker conveniently located, so I'm going to get back into doing that. This may be one of the first ones that I make because it just sounds so good. And this is not really a smoothie because this is actually pudding. So um, it's a little different, obviously. But would be a great pudding for the morning, one way or another. So our second president, John Adams, he once wrote, and he wrote this under a pseudonym, made up a name because he wanted to sound more like a common person when he wrote this. But, and I quote, I do say it would be nice thing if we could raise enough, and that's enough spelled ENUFF, that's how old this is, enough hemp to pay our rates and buy a little rum and sugar, which we can't do well without, and a little tea, which our wives won't let us have any peace without. In Virginia, close to a time in Virginia again where hemp was actually legal tender, and so you could actually pay your taxes with hemp one way or another. But this might have been even before that, or early enough. John Adams was our second president, and I think this was actually before he was the president that he wrote this, and so he was really trying to boost the hemp industry or the hemp growing by implying that if we could grow it and sell it, we could supply ourselves with some of the other things that we really want, like rum and sugar, and a little tea, So, most of the early Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. I don't know if John Adams actually was a hemp farmer or not, but we know George Washington grew hemp. We know Thomas Jefferson grew hemp. Ben Franklin grew hemp. Famous people in the early United States of America days, which isn't that long ago, that were involved in hemp farming and realized how essential it was to the implication of the United States of America into America, so to speak. It wasn't called America before we got here. The natives didn't call it America. The indigenous people. They don't want to be called natives of America because we didn't call it America. They didn't call it America. They are indigenous people to America, to what we call America. So, well, I'm gonna leave you on a sad note, I suppose, but it's only a sad note in Italy. But apparently, the Italian government has moved to ban production and marketing of hemp, which is just, and again, I don't know if this was a move against intoxicating hemp and they're really shutting down an entire industry. But, from my understanding, it's always been my understanding that hemp, or the Italians grow the finest hemp for material out there. Is this going to affect the growing of hemp? Is Armani not going to be able to use locally grown hemp in his Armani hemp suits? I don't know. But it's such a huge move that there is a group, or there is a cry to the European Union, the EU, to do something about this. The citizens and people of Italy are saying the government should not be allowed to do this. It goes against the EU laws of hemp, standards of hemp, one way or another. So they are imploring the EU, the European Union, to step in and tell the Italian government that that's not even really legal as far as the European Union standards and laws, which Italy is a part of the European Union, so they kind of have to go by that, I believe. So we'll see how that ends up with Italians, but I cannot imagine how ridiculously dumb that is. Honestly, again, the Italians produce some of the finest hemp fiber out there. When we really get into the industry here, we should study their fiber industry to grow that type of fiber here if we can. And we can. It might not grow as tall, might not grow, the same way it grows in Italy, but it will grow here, and we can adapt it to the environment here, one way or another. So, sad day for Italians and hemp. We'll see how far that goes and where that goes, but they're going to fight it, and hopefully sooner as opposed to later it will get overturned. What about all the hemp that's getting grown right now? I don't know. Are they cutting it down as we speak? I don't know. So, all right. Well, there aren't really a whole lot of events going on that I saw, really. Not a whole lot of stuff in the world as far as events go. As far as asking me anything, I didn't get any questions during the show. But I did make my beach thoughts, clear once again. And I don't really have any beach thoughts. I may put some beach thoughts together to address this whole intoxicating hemp thing, especially as with the Farm Bill being put together. But I think everybody kind of knows what my thoughts are on that. But maybe I'll close the show with those because it's super important to the industry right now. This is a crossroads that the industry should not be going. We've already crossed these roads, and we don't need to go backwards. We need to continue forward on the road, not go backwards on the industrial hemp road. So we'll see what happens there. All thanks to this newly termed intoxicating hemp, which is ridiculous. So, all right. Thanks everybody for watching the High Noon Hemp Show. Remember, you can go to the Jedi Hemp channel on YouTube and watch any one of the previous 258 episodes, including this one, or 259 if you include this one. And, become a follower of the Jedi Hemp channel one way or another. We would like that very much. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle. Make everything else out of hemp. Having temptations.
See y'all next week.